A millionaire was rejected on a blind date on Christmas Eve, but he was surprised by the kindness of the waitress and fell deeply in love. Before the story begins, tell us in the comments which city you are watching from. And at the end, do not forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. Christopher Blackwell checked his phone for the 10th time. 9:20 at night, and no message from Madison. He had been sitting alone at the table at Bellinade since 8 o'clock, waiting for the blind date his secretary had arranged. Christmas Eve in Chicago was busy, couples laughing and celebrating around him, and there he was, staring at an empty chair. He tried calling again. Voicemail. Again. Christopher sighed, running his hand through his hair. This was the 7th blind date in 2 weeks. The previous 6 had been complete disasters, but he hoped this one would be different. Madison sounded perfect on paper. A corporate lawyer, smart, successful, and more importantly, he really wanted someone to spend Christmas with. He could not stand the idea of waking up alone on December 25th again. But apparently, the universe had other plans. A waitress walked up to the table, smiling kindly. She had brown hair tied in a loose ponytail and wore a Christmas bell-shaped earring that moved when she walked. "Hi, sorry for the delay. Have you decided what you would like for dinner, or are you going to wait a little longer for the invisible person?" Christopher looked at her and let out a heavy sigh. "I think I'm having dinner alone." The waitress made a dramatic face. "Oh no, let me guess, blind date that turned into a dark date because the person disappeared?" "Something like that," Christopher murmured, embarrassed. "On Christmas Eve?" She placed a hand on her chest theatrically. "That is cruelty. It should be a crime. Real jail, you know?" Christopher could not help a small smile. "I don't think it's that serious." "Not that serious? My friend, you've been here since 8 o'clock. The waitress pointed at him with her pen. "I saw you. You came in all excited, adjusted the table like 15 times, checked your phone every 30 seconds. You looked like a little dog waiting for the owner to come back." Christopher widened his eyes. "You were watching me this whole time?" "Not watching, monitoring," she corrected, very serious. "It's different. Watching is what stalkers do. Monitoring is professional responsibility. I'm Emma, by the way, and this restaurant is my territory." "By the way?" Christopher frowned. "Yes, like, I talk too much and I'm always owing people an apology. My mother says I was born without the stop talking button." Emma shrugged. "But anyway, back to your situation. Did you call this Madison?" 3 times. It went straight to voicemail. Emma let out a low whistle. 3 times? After the second one, you should have gotten up and left. That is a lack of self-respect." "Hey," Christopher protested, but he was laughing. "I'm being honest. Look, I'll give you some free advice." Emma leaned forward, sounding conspiratorial. "Anyone who leaves you waiting more than half an hour without saying anything is in one of 2 situations. Either they were taken by aliens, or they just don't care about you. And since alien abduction is rare in Chicago, I'd bet on the second one." "Are you always this direct?" Christopher asked, impressed. "Always. That's my charm." Emma winked. "But really, not to be nosy, what kind of woman is this Madison? Because the name already gives a clear picture. Corporate lawyer, graduated from Harvard." "Ah," Emma hit the table with her hand. "I knew it." "Let me guess more. She wears beige suits, drinks white wine, has a purse that costs more than my car, and loves talking about yoga and networking." Christopher blinked several times. "How did you?" "I have a gift." Emma leaned back proudly. "It's like those people on TV who talk to spirits, but instead of talking to the dead, I can guess the type of person who stands others up. It's a very specific and completely useless talent, but it's mine." Christopher laughed out loud for the first time that night. "You're crazy." "I prefer the term creatively honest." Emma pointed her pen at him again. "And you, let me guess too, CEO of some fancy company, work 70 hours a week, your best friend is the office coffee, and you practiced in the mirror what you were going to say on this date. Am I right?" "I did not practice in the mirror." Christopher defended himself, but his smile showed she got other things right. "Everyone practices," Emma said. "On my last date, I practiced for 3 days how I was going to tell the story about the time my cat ate my passport 2 days before my trip. You know what happened?" "What?" "The man was allergic to cats and scared of airplanes. 2 forbidden topics at once." Emma threw her hands up. I sat there like, so, do you like plants? It was awful. Christopher was laughing so hard he was starting to draw attention from the nearby tables. Okay, you win. Dating is terrible for everyone. Exactly. But being stood up on Christmas Eve? Emma shook her head. That deserves a medal. Like, a medal for the worst timing in the universe. They should hold a ceremony. Thank you. That makes me feel so much better, Christopher said dryly. You're welcome. That's why I'm here. Emma smiled. Listen, let me tell you the truth. Any woman who leaves you waiting for an hour and 20 minutes on Christmas Eve doesn't deserve your time, or your money, or that crooked little smile you're trying to hide. I don't have a crooked smile. You do. It's kind of cute, a little stiff, like you're smiling but asking permission to smile. Emma made a serious face, then smiled sideways, looking ridiculous. It's like this. Christopher burst out laughing. I don't do that. You do. But relax, it's not even close to the worst thing I've seen. Last week there was a man eating spaghetti who used his tie to wipe his mouth. His tie. Who does that? You're making that up. I swear on Santa I'm not. Emma raised her hand. And since today is Christmas Eve, the promise counts even more. But anyway, enough about other people's disasters. Let's fix yours. My disaster has no solution, Christopher sighed. Of course it does. Look. Emma brightened. You're going to order the best dish in this restaurant, eat until you're full, drink a wine that costs more than my salary, and I'm going to make you laugh at least 5 times before you walk out of here. Christmas Eve promise. 5 times? That's very specific. I already made you laugh 3 times since I got here, so we only need 2 more. Easy. Emma picked up her notepad. And don't even think about ordering a salad, because salad on Christmas Eve should be illegal. I wasn't going to order a salad. Great, because I would judge you a lot. Emma leaned forward. So, what's it going to be? And it needs to have cheese. A lot of cheese. Cheese cures sadness. It's scientifically proven. Scientifically proven? Christopher raised an eyebrow. I read it online, so it must be true. Emma winked. Come on, pick something. Ravioli? Lasagna? Risotto? Say something with carbs, because you look like you haven't eaten carbs since 2010. Christopher laughed again. All right. Ravioli, with lots of cheese. Finally, a sensible decision. Emma wrote it down with exaggerated enthusiasm. You just earned 100 points on my decent customer scale. Only about 500 more to reach legendary status. You have a scale? Of course, every good professional has a system. Emma tucked away the notepad. Now I'll go get your ravioli, and while I'm gone, you're going to stop staring at that empty chair like it's the end of the world, okay? Because it's not. It's just another date gone wrong. You'll survive. How do you know? Because you're laughing. Emma pointed at him triumphantly. And if you can laugh after being stood up, your emotional foundation is solid. Trust me, I understand people. Christopher shook his head, smiling. You're completely crazy. Thank you. That's the best compliment I got today. Emma started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, and Christopher? Yes? That Madison girl lost, because you seem like a good man, and good people are rare. And with that, she walked toward the kitchen, the Christmas bell on her apron jingling brightly. Christopher watched her disappear between the tables, and for the first time that night, he wasn't thinking about Madison, the empty chair, or how he had been left behind. He was thinking about how a wild waitress had just turned the worst night of the year into the funniest one he'd had in a long time. Emma came back from the kitchen, balancing a basket of warm bread and butter. She placed everything on Christopher's table with a dramatic flourish, as if she were presenting an award. Complimentary appetizer. Well, actually, it's courtesy of me, because I convinced the chef by saying you were having the worst night of your life. Emma leaned in and whispered loudly. I stretched the truth a little. I told him you just found out your goldfish died. Christopher almost spit out his water. You told him what? Calm down. The chef is super emotional. He has 5 aquariums at home. It worked. Emma shrugged. And technically, it wasn't a complete lie. Your date died, metaphorically. You're unbelievable, Christopher said, shaking his head, but he was laughing. I know. My mom says I should work in sales because I can convince anyone of anything. Emma pulled out a chair and sat down for a moment. Look, there aren't many people waiting right now, so I have a few minutes. Tell me, how did you end up on these blind dates? You seem like a normal guy. I mean, you have both eyes, both arms, you don't smell, you're well-dressed. Thanks for the detailed analysis, Christopher laughed awkwardly. You're welcome, but seriously, 7 dates in 2 weeks? That sounds like a disaster marathon. Emma counted on her fingers. So, what happened on the other 6? Tell me everything. I love bad date stories. Christopher sighed. You really want to know? Of course. It's better than a soap opera. Emma rested her chin on her hands, fully focused. All right. The first one cried the entire night about her ex-husband. The second ordered the most expensive dishes on the menu and then said she didn't feel a connection. The third brought her dog hidden in her purse. Wait, Emma cut him off, eyes wide. In the purse? What do you mean, in the purse? A tiny poodle. It barked all night. She kept feeding it under the table. Emma slapped the table, laughing. Oh my goodness, this is gold. And the others? The fourth spent the whole time on her phone. The fifth confused me with someone else, and when she realized her mistake, she left. And the sixth? Christopher paused. And the sixth? Tell me. Emma was practically bouncing in her chair. She asked to borrow money before we even ordered. Emma froze for 3 full seconds before bursting into laughter. No! You're making that up. I swear I'm not. Christopher was laughing now, too. She said her car had broken down and she needed $300 for the mechanic. And did you give it to her? Emma asked, curious. Of course not. Good, because if you had, I'd have to give you a whole speech about self-respect right here. Emma wiped the tears from laughing so hard. You're like a magnet for disastrous dates. That's impressive. Thanks, it's a talent I wish I didn't have. But tell me, why are you so desperate to find someone? You seem like a good guy, hardworking, polite. Emma tilted her head. Let me guess. Your family keeps bothering you at Christmas asking when you're going to find a girlfriend. Christopher made a face. How do you know? Because mine does the same thing. Emma threw her hands up. Every year it's the same. Emma, you're 25. You should be married by now. Emma, the neighbor's daughter already has 3 kids. Emma, you're going to die alone with your 27 cats. You have 27 cats? Christopher asked, alarmed. No, I have 2. But my mom exaggerates everything. Emma rolled her eyes. She thinks 2 is the beginning of a feline army. But anyway, so you're doing all these dates because you want someone for Christmas? Christopher nodded, a little embarrassed. I know it sounds pathetic. Stop that. It's not pathetic. It's human. Emma spoke seriously for the first time. Everyone wants someone during the holidays. I hate going to family dinners alone myself. My Aunt Deborah always says, still single, Emma, every single time, as if I hadn't noticed, you know. Christopher smiled. Your family sounds fun. Fun is a polite word. I'd say chaotic. Emma stood up. But look, forget this, Madison. Any woman who prefers to spend Christmas Eve doing who knows what instead of meeting you isn't worth it. It's like choosing to watch commercials instead of a movie. That's the strangest comparison I've ever heard. I have a gift for strange comparisons. Emma made a little bow. But now, let me grab your food before the chef thinks I'm here chatting instead of working. Which, to be fair, is exactly what I'm doing. She walked away, and Christopher watched her go. There was something about that waitress that felt completely different from all the women he had met lately. Emma was genuine, funny, direct. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She had no filter, and somehow that was incredibly refreshing. She came back 5 minutes later with a huge plate of steaming ravioli. Here you go, the best ravioli in Chicago, made with love and a little bit of pity for your imaginary goldfish. Emma set the plate in front of him. And look, I convinced the chef to add extra cheese, like a lot of extra. It's practically swimming in cheese. You're amazing, Christopher said sincerely. I know, but I'm glad you noticed too. Emma winked. Now eat while it's hot. And if you need anything else, just wave, or call my name, or toss a napkin. Anything works, I'm pretty flexible. Christopher started eating, and had to admit, it was delicious. Emma passed by his table 3 more times in the next few minutes, each time making a different comment. Is it good? You look like you're enjoying it. Need more wine? Because wine helps you forget bad dates. That guy at table 5 hasn't stopped staring at your plate. I think he's jealous of your cheese. Christopher laughed every time she showed up. It was impossible not to. Emma had this contagious energy, a genuine joy that made everything feel lighter. When he was almost finished, Emma came back with a huge piece of tiramisu. "This is not dessert," she announced solemnly. "This is therapy in the form of sweets, on the house again. Well, technically on me again. I told the chef today is your birthday." "Emma, you can't keep lying to the chef." "Yes, I can, and I already did. Besides, he was so happy he sang happy birthday in Italian in the kitchen." Emma set the plate down. "So technically, you got a free birthday serenade. You're welcome." Christopher didn't know whether to laugh or pretend to be upset. He chose to laugh. "You are the craziest person I've ever met." "Thank you. I'll put that on my resume." Emma sat down again for a second. "But really, can I tell you something? You're doing much better now than when you arrived. You came in all tense, with that face of an executive who forgot how to smile. Now you're laughing, relaxed, eating cheese like there's no tomorrow. That's progress." "It's true," Christopher admitted. "I feel much better." "Of course you do, because you met Emma." She stood up theatrically. "But now I really have to go because there's a table over there calling me, and it looks like they're arguing about who's going to pay the bill. And that's always interesting." She started to walk away, but Christopher called out, "Emma, wait." "Yes," she turned, curious. "Thank you. Really. You completely changed this night." Emma smiled, this time a genuine and sweet smile. "You're welcome, Christopher. That's what I'm here for. Well, technically, I'm here to serve food, but making people laugh is a bonus I offer for free." With one last wink, she disappeared between the crowded tables. Christopher ate the tiramisu slowly, savoring every bite. And for the first time in weeks, he wasn't thinking about work, failed dates, or how his love life was a disaster. He was thinking about a waitress with brown hair, Christmas bell earrings, and a wonderfully crazy sense of humor. And he was smiling. Christopher asked for the check half an hour later, still enjoying the last bite of tiramisu. Emma appeared so fast it looked like she had been teleported. "Leaving already? But the party is just starting." She placed the check on the table with an exaggerated flourish. "Look, I added a special discount here. A discount for customers who got abandoned on dates. It's a new policy I just invented." Christopher looked at the bill and frowned. "Emma, you can't keep giving discounts out of your own pocket." "Who said it's from my pocket?" Emma winked. "Maybe I convinced the manager that you're a food critic in disguise. He got nervous and approved it right away." "You didn't do that." "Yes, I did. You should have seen his face. He turned all red, started sweating, asked if the food was good about 15 times. Emma tried not to laugh. It was hilarious. Christopher shook his head, but he was smiling. "You're terrible. I prefer the term creatively efficient." Emma sat in the chair beside him. "So what are you doing for Christmas tomorrow? Because if you're staying home watching a movie alone and eating popcorn, I'll be worried." "That was probably exactly what I was going to do," Christopher admitted. "Oh no, that's way too depressing." Emma made a face. "No one should spend Christmas alone watching a bad movie and eating burned popcorn." "Who said the popcorn was going to burn?" "Because popcorn always burns when we're sad. It's like a law of physics." Emma gestured dramatically. "Look, I have a better idea. Why don't you spend Christmas at my house?" Christopher blinked several times, thinking he heard wrong. "What? You heard me. Come spend Christmas at my house." Emma said it like she was inviting him for coffee, not an important family event. "It'll be me, my mom Carol, and my younger sister Lily. We always make a huge dinner, have games, music, and a lot of food." "Emma, I can't just crash your family's Christmas." "Crash it? You were invited." "That's different," Emma cut in. "And listen, my mom loves meeting new people. She'll be thrilled. My sister too, she's basically me, but version 2.0, younger and with more energy, if that's even possible." Christopher was genuinely shocked. "But you barely know me." "Why would you do that?" Emma shrugged. "Because you seem like a good person, and because no one should spend Christmas alone. And also because I felt we connected. You know? Like you laughed at my jokes, you didn't complain when I sat at your table without permission, and you didn't run away when I talked about my cats. That already puts you at the top of the nice people list." "You have a list?" "Everyone should. It's like a mental ranking of who deserves your time." Emma stood up and grabbed a napkin, writing something on it. "Here, this is my number and my address. Dinner is at 6 tomorrow. Just show up." And you don't need to bring anything fancy. Just bring yourself. Christopher took the napkin, still trying to process what was happening. Emma, I really don't know what to say. Then don't say anything. Just show up. Emma smiled. Oh, and just so you know, my mother will probably ask you 1,000 questions. She is very curious, and my sister will try to teach you how to play video games, and I will keep making silly jokes the whole time. Ready? Christopher couldn't help smiling. It sounds chaotic. It is, but it's the good kind of chaos, you know, like when you mix all the colors and it becomes something pretty instead of an ugly brown. Emma paused. Did that comparison make sense? No, Christopher laughed, but I understood what you meant. Great, then it's settled. Are you coming? Emma put her hands together as if begging. Please? Because if you don't, I will spend the whole night thinking you're home alone, eating burned popcorn and watching some boring documentary about economics. I like documentaries about economics. Exactly. You urgently need fun in your life, Emma pointed at him. So, are you going or not? Christopher looked at the napkin with the address written in round, slightly crooked letters. This was crazy. He had met this girl just a few hours ago. She was a wild waitress who lied to the chef and invented discounts, and she was inviting him, a complete stranger, to spend Christmas with her family. It was absolutely insane. And even so, Christopher found himself saying, "All right, I'll go." Seriously? Emma almost shouted, making half the restaurant look over. Sorry, but that's great. You won't regret it, I promise. Just one question, Christopher said. Do you always invite strangers to your family Christmas? No, you're the first, Emma admitted excitedly. But I feel like you're special. I mean, it's not every day someone makes me laugh that much while going through the worst night ever. That takes talent. I was just surviving. And surviving very well, by the way. Emma checked the time. Wow, it's almost midnight. The restaurant will close soon. But look, are you sure you'll show up tomorrow? You won't change your mind and decide I'm too crazy? You are crazy, Christopher agreed. But I think you're exactly the kind of crazy I need to meet. Emma smiled, and this time it was a different smile. Softer, more sincere. Thank you, Christopher, for accepting the invitation, and for staying here the whole night, even after being stood up. A lot of people would have left angry and ruined the waiter's night just because they were upset. I would never do that, Christopher said seriously. I know. That's why I invited you. Emma picked up the money he had left on the table. Now, go home, sleep well, and tomorrow come to my house ready to eat until you can't anymore and play ridiculous board games my mother insists on bringing out every Christmas. Christopher stood up, putting on his coat. Can I bring something? Wine? Dessert? You can bring wine, but nothing too fancy, because my family is the kind that drinks boxed wine and thinks it's great. Emma laughed. Oh, and if you want, bring that sense of humor you hide under that serious executive face. That will be useful. I don't have a serious face. Yes, you do. It's like your default expression. But don't worry, we'll teach you how to relax. Emma began gently pushing him toward the exit. Now get out of here before I make up another lie to the chef and we end up in trouble. Christopher walked out of the restaurant laughing with the napkin in his pocket and a strange feeling in his chest. It wasn't sadness, it wasn't frustration, it was something he hadn't felt in a long time. It was hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, that disastrous Christmas Eve had become the beginning of something completely unexpected. He looked back and saw Emma through the window, waving dramatically with both hands. Christopher waved back, shaking his head with a smile. While he walked to the car, the snow started to fall softly, covering the streets of Chicago with a white blanket. And for the first time in years, Christopher was genuinely excited for Christmas. All because of a crazy waitress with Christmas bell earrings and a heart bigger than any logic could explain. On Christmas morning, Christopher woke up with the sunlight coming through the apartment window. He checked his phone and saw it was 10 in the morning. He picked up the napkin Emma had given him the night before and read the address again. Maple Street, number 423. Dinner at 6. He still could not believe he had accepted that invitation. Christopher spent the day trying to distract himself, but his thoughts kept going back to Emma, the funny waitress who turned his awful night into something memorable. Did she really mean that invitation, Or had it been just kindness in the heat of the moment? At 5:15 in the afternoon, Christopher was standing in front of the mirror, adjusting his shirt for the third time. He had changed clothes 4 times. Too formal felt pretentious. Too casual felt careless. He ended up choosing jeans, a light blue shirt, and a gray sweater. He picked up the bottle of wine he had bought earlier and left the apartment before he could change his mind. Emma's address was in a quiet neighborhood in Chicago, with small houses and yards full of Christmas decorations. House number 423 had colorful lights flashing on the porch and a giant inflatable snowman in the front yard. Christopher parked and sat in the car for a full minute, taking a deep breath. He closed million-dollar deals without hesitation, but he was nervous to ring the bell of an unfamiliar house. He finally got out of the car and walked to the door. Before he could even touch the bell, the door opened quickly. "You came!" Emma practically shouted, opening her arms. She was wearing a red sweater with an embroidered reindeer and antlers that lit up. "I thought you were going to cancel. My mom said you wouldn't come, but I said you would, and look, I won." "Hi, Emma," Christopher laughed, holding out the bottle of wine. "I brought this." Emma grabbed the bottle and her eyes widened. "Wow, this wine is fancy, like really fancy. It even has a French name." "You told me not to bring anything fancy." "I did, but well, I'm not going to complain." Emma pulled him inside. "Come in before all the heat escapes. My mom is going to lose her mind when she sees this wine. She only knows boxed wine from the grocery store." The house was cozy and warm, with the smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon. A huge Christmas tree took up half the living room, full of mismatched ornaments and lights that had clearly seen better days. "Mom! Lily! He came!" Emma shouted into the house. A woman in her 50s came from the kitchen, drying her hands on an apron that said, "Santa is my co-pilot." She had the same brown hair as Emma and the same wide smile. "You must be Christopher. Emma hasn't stopped talking about you since last night." Carol held out her hand, which was slightly sticky. "Sorry, I was making pie. Welcome to our home." "It's a pleasure to meet you, ma'am." "Ma'am? Oh my goodness, how polite." Carol tapped Emma's shoulder. "You didn't say he was this polite. And handsome, too. Look at that." "Mom." Emma rolled her eyes, blushing. "You promised you wouldn't be embarrassing." "I didn't promise anything." Carol winked at Christopher. Come in, make yourself comfortable, and call me Carol, not ma'am. That makes me feel old." A girl around 19 came running down the stairs. She had short blonde hair and was wearing a Grinch sweater. "Is this the guy from the disastrous date?" Lily asked without hesitation, looking Christopher up and down. "He looks normal. Like, very normal. Why didn't Madison show up?" "Lily." Emma threw a pillow at her. "You can't ask that." "Why not? It's a valid question." Lily dodged the pillow. "Hi, I'm Lily, the younger and cooler sister, and also prettier, but that's debatable." "It's not debatable, it's false," Emma replied. Christopher laughed, starting to relax. "Nice to meet you, Lily." "Wow, he really is polite," Lily told Emma. "You brought the last polite man left in Chicago to our house. That's like finding a unicorn." "Girls, stop bothering the poor man," Carol stepped in. "Christopher, would you like something to drink? We have soda, juice, beer, and now this fancy wine you brought that I don't even know if I can open." "Soda is perfect, thank you." Emma guided him to the sofa. "Sit down, relax. Important warning, my cats will show up at any moment and judge you. They are very critical of visitors." As if he had been summoned, a huge orange cat jumped onto Christopher's lap and stared at him intensely. "This is Mr. Whiskers," Emma introduced. "He's the oldest and thinks he owns the place. The other one is Captain Cuteness, but he's hiding because he's shy." "Mr. Whiskers?" Christopher asked, petting the cat, who started purring loudly. "I was 8 years old when I got him, okay? I thought it was a fancy name." Emma defended herself. "And at least I didn't name him Furball like Lily wanted." "Furball is a great name." Lily protested from the kitchen. Carol returned with a glass of soda. "So, Christopher, Emma said you're a business owner?" "Yes, I have a technology company." "Technology? How interesting." Carol sat on the armchair. "You work with those computer and internet things?" "Basically." "Goodness, that must be complicated." Carol shook her head. "I can barely use my phone. The other day I sent a message to the wrong group and ended up sending a picture of my Christmas turkey to the fitness class chat. It was a mess." Emma covered her face. Mom, he doesn't need to know that. Why not? It's funny. Carol laughed. The ladies at the gym loved the turkey picture. They said it had great color. Lily came back from the kitchen with a plate full of cookies. Christopher, do you play video games? Not much. Perfect. After dinner we're going to play Mario Kart, and I'm going to destroy everyone. Lily bit into a cookie. Emma is terrible at video games. She always falls off the maps. I don't always fall, Emma protested. I only fall 60% of the time. 60% is always. Lily shot back. Christopher was laughing so hard that Mr. Whiskers gave him a disapproving look before jumping off his lap. See, you scared my cat, Emma accused, but she was smiling. Your cat is dramatic. It runs in the family. Carol called from to Emma, come help me set the table. And Lily, stop stealing the cookies. Those are for dessert. I'm testing the quality, Lily defended herself. But she put the plate down. Emma stood up. Christopher, do you want to help? Or do you prefer to stay there being judged by Mr. Whiskers? I'll help, Christopher said quickly. In the kitchen, Carol was taking the turkey out of the oven while humming a Christmas song. The table was covered with a red tablecloth full of stains and dishes that clearly didn't match. Sorry for the mess, Carol said. We're not very formal here. It's perfect, Christopher said sincerely. And it was. Nothing was technically perfect, but there was something truly warm about that chaotic kitchen. Emma stealing pieces of roasted potatoes, Lily trying to balance 5 plates at once, and Carol singing off key while cutting the turkey. For the first time in years, Christopher felt truly at home. Careful with that dish, it's hot, Emma warned as Christopher picked up the mashed potatoes. Thank you. You're welcome. We don't want you burning yourself on your first Christmas here. Emma smiled, then seemed to realize what she had said. I mean, not that there will be other Christmases. That sounded strange. I just meant. Emma, breathe, Christopher said, laughing. I understood. But deep down, a part of him was hoping there would be other Christmases. With that wild family, that cozy house, and that waitress with jingle bell earrings who had turned his night upside down in the best possible way. Everyone sat at the table, which was filled with food. Roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, homemade cranberry sauce, caramelized sweet potatoes, green beans, and at least 3 different types of pie waiting on the counter. All right, before we start, let's do our Christmas tradition, Carol announced, clasping her hands. Each person has to say one thing they're grateful for this year. I'll start. I'm grateful for my 2 wonderful daughters, even though one of them almost set the kitchen on fire last week making popcorn. It was one time, Emma protested. And technically the fire was small. Small? Lily burst out laughing. The smoke detector went off for 20 minutes. Okay, next person. Emma pointed at Lily, changing the subject quickly. I'm grateful I finally passed my driving test, Lily announced proudly. On the 5th try, but who's counting? Everyone's counting, Emma muttered, making Lily throw a napkin at her. Your turn, Emma, Carol encouraged. Emma grew serious for a moment, looking around the table. I'm grateful for having a loving, crazy family, for having a job I enjoy even when my feet hurt at the end of the day, and, she looked at Christopher, for meeting new people who remind me that everyone deserves a second chance. There was a brief silence, and then Carol began wiping her eyes with a napkin. Oh my goodness, now you made me cry! Carol fanned herself. Christopher, your turn before I start crying like a waterfall. Christopher cleared his throat, unexpectedly emotional. I'm grateful I'm not spending this Christmas alone, and for meeting the most welcoming family in Chicago. Oh no, now I'm gonna cry again. Carol wiped more tears. All right, enough sentimental stuff. Let's eat before everything gets cold. Dinner was chaotic and loud in the best way possible. Carol told embarrassing stories about her daughters. Lily answered back with equally embarrassing stories about her mother. And Emma tried to defend everyone while stealing food from Lily's plate whenever she wasn't looking. So, Christopher, Carol began while passing the mashed potatoes, Emma said you had 7 terrible dates in 2 weeks. Is that true, or is she exaggerating? Mom, Emma nearly choked. We don't have to talk about that. Why not? I want to know. Lily perked up. Tell us everything. The more embarrassing, the better. Christopher laughed. It's true. 7 dates, 7 disasters. Wait, we need to hear about all of them. Lily tapped the table excitedly, like a marathon of bad stories. We really don't, Emma tried to intervene. We really do, Carol agreed. This is better than television. Christopher looked at Emma, who had covered her face with both hands, mortified, but she was smiling underneath. All right, Christopher agreed. The first one cried about her ex-husband the entire night. Classic, Lily commented. Next. The second ordered lobster and French champagne, then said she didn't feel any chemistry. User. Carol shook her head in disapproval. The third brought a dog hidden in her purse. It barked the whole time. Wait, Lily raised her hand. In the purse? What do you mean, in the purse? A tiny poodle. She kept feeding it under the table. That's strange and hilarious at the same time. Lily was loving it. Next. The fourth stayed on her phone the whole night. The fifth confused me with someone else and left when she realized the mistake, and the sixth asked to borrow money before the food even arrived. No, Carol almost knocked over her glass. The nerve. And the seventh was Madison yesterday, who simply didn't show up, Emma added. And that's how he ended up at my table looking all sad, and I decided to adopt him. You did not adopt me, Christopher protested, laughing. I did. You're like a lost puppy I found on the street and brought home. Emma winked. A very well-dressed lost puppy who drives an expensive car but still a puppy. I like him, Carol declared. Much better than that guy you brought last year, Emma. What was his name again? We're not talking about Trevor, Emma said quickly. Oh yes, Trevor, Lily lit up. The guy who said dogs were better than cats and almost started a third world war in this house. He insulted Mr. Whiskers. Emma defended. You can't forgive that. Wait, you broke up with him because he didn't like cats? Christopher asked, amused. Of course, my cats are part of the family, Emma said with complete seriousness. If someone doesn't like them, it won't work. That's my daughter, Carol approved. Family loyalty above everything. Dinner went on with more stories, more laughter, and more food than Christopher thought it was possible for humans to eat. Carol insisted he try every dish at least twice, and when he said he was full, she said he was just making room for pie. After dinner, everyone went to the living room. Lily immediately turned on the video game. Time for the annual Mario Kart tournament, she announced. Christopher, ready to be destroyed? I've never played Mario Kart, Christopher admitted. Never. All three women said at the same time, shocked. How have you never played Mario Kart? Emma asked, stunned. What did you do as a kid? Studied. That's sad. Lily shook her head. But it's okay, I'll teach you. Come here. Lily spent the next 10 minutes explaining the controls with a seriousness that made it seem like she was teaching brain surgery, not a video game. And when you see a blue shell, pray, Lily concluded, because there's no way to escape it. That makes no sense, Christopher said. Welcome to Mario Kart. Emma laughed, sitting next to him on the couch with her own controller. The first race was a complete disaster. Christopher finished in last place, fell off 3 different bridges, and got hit by practically every item in the game. You're worse than Emma, Lily cheered. Hey, I'm not that bad. Emma protested, then fell off another bridge in the game. Okay, maybe I am. Carol watched from her armchair, laughing so hard she had to hold her stomach. Mr. Whiskers was lying on her lap, looking like he was judging all of them. Christopher, you're holding the controller wrong, Emma pointed. Turn it. No, not like that. The other way. How is there a right way to hold this? Christopher was confused and laughing at the same time. There's a science to it, Lily insisted. You can't just hold it any old way. On the third race, Christopher finally managed not to finish last. He finished next to last, but he celebrated as if he had won a championship. Look, I passed Emma, he shouted. That's because I fell off the bridge again. Emma argued. That doesn't count. It does count. Christopher was genuinely excited. I officially am not the worst player here. Congratulations, you beat my daughter who has 0 coordination. Carol applauded ironically. Thanks for the support, Mom. Emma threw a pillow at her. They played for another hour, with Lily winning every race, Carol narrating each one like it was an Olympic event, Emma falling off bridges over and over again, and Christopher improving until he finally managed to come in 3rd place in one race. You're learning, Emma celebrated. Soon you'll be beating me in every race. That's not hard, Lily added, making Emma throw another pillow at her. When they finally stopped playing, It was already past 10 at night. Carol brought pies and more coffee, and everyone settled in the living room, eating dessert and talking. "This was the best Christmas I've had in years," Christopher said sincerely. "Really?" Emma asked, surprised. "But we just ate too much, played video games, and I embarrassed you in front of my whole family." "Exactly." Christopher smiled. "It was perfect." Carol stood and hugged Christopher. "You're welcome here whenever you want, dear. Consider this house your home, too." "Thank you, Carol. That means a lot." Lily also stood, yawning. "Okay, I'm going to bed because I have to work early tomorrow." "Christopher, it was a pleasure destroying you in Mario Kart." "The pleasure was mine," Christopher laughed. After Carol and Lily went upstairs, Emma and Christopher stayed alone in the living room. Mr. Whiskers had migrated to Christopher's lap and was snoring loudly. "Thanks for coming," Emma said softly. "I know it was kind of crazy to accept the invitation of a complete stranger, but I'm glad you came." "Me too," Christopher replied. "Your family is amazing." "They're a little crazy," Emma admitted, "but they're my crazy people." Christopher looked at her, lit only by the Christmas tree lights, and felt something shift inside him. Something that had nothing to do with loneliness or desperation for company. It had to do with Emma, with her bell earrings, her unfiltered sense of humor, and her huge heart. And for the first time in a long time, Christopher Blackwell was starting to believe in second chances. The clock on the wall showed almost midnight. Emma was curled up in the corner of the sofa, barefoot, with her legs folded under her. Christopher was still holding Mr. Whiskers, who was snoring happily. "You know what's funny?" Emma broke the comfortable silence. "Yesterday you were at the restaurant completely devastated, and now you're here with a cat on your lap, looking like the most relaxed person in the world." "It's your fault," Christopher said. "You and your family have this calming effect. Like therapy, but with more food and video games." "Therapy with food and video games should be an official treatment." Emma clapped her hands. "I could open a clinic. Emma's office, where we cure sadness with ravioli and Mario Kart. You'd be a success. Right? I'd be a millionaire." Emma stretched her arms. "But then I'd have to charge people, and I'm terrible at that. Like, last week a customer forgot her wallet and I told her not to worry. My manager almost had a heart attack." "You paid for her meal?" Christopher asked. "I didn't have a choice. She had 2 little kids with her and looked like she was having a horrible day." Emma shrugged. $23 won't make me poor, but it will make a difference for her, you know?" Christopher looked at Emma with admiration. "You're a good person." "Oh, stop," Emma blushed. "I just do what anyone would do." "No, Emma, most people wouldn't." Christopher spoke seriously. "Most people would think of themselves first, but you don't. You helped that customer. You helped me yesterday when I was at rock bottom. You invited me to your home." Okay, stop or I'm going to start crying, and then my mom will come downstairs thinking you did something to me." Emma fanned herself. "Let's change the subject before I turn into an emotional faucet." Christopher laughed. "All right, so tell me, why do you work as a waitress? Not that there's anything wrong with it, but you're smart, funny, and great with people. Are you offering me a job?" Emma raised an eyebrow playfully. "Maybe," Christopher replied, also joking, but part of him was seriously considering it. "Look, I work as a waitress because I like it," Emma explained. "I know everyone thinks it's temporary, like until I find something better. But I honestly like what I do. I meet new people every day, I make them laugh, I help make their day a little better. That has value, you know?" "It really does," Christopher agreed. "You definitely made my day better. Actually, my life better." Emma blushed. "You need to stop saying things like that, or I'll start thinking you're in love with me or something." There was a strange silence. Christopher realized he'd been staring at Emma for too long, and she was looking back, a little confused, a little curious. "I should go," Christopher said suddenly, startling Mr. Whiskers, who jumped off his lap in indignation. "It's late. Your family must be trying to sleep." "Oh, they sleep like rocks. Once we had a small earthquake here in Chicago and no one woke up except me." Emma stood up too. "But yeah, it's really late. Do you have to work tomorrow?" "No, the company is closed until after New Year's." "Lucky you. I have to work tomorrow night." Emma made a face. "Dinner shift. There are always those people who go out to eat after Christmas and complain they're full but still order dessert. You love your job, remember? Christopher teased. I do, but people are still funny. Emma walked him to the door. Hey, Christopher? Yes? Thank you for coming. Really, it was very good to have you here. Emma smiled, and it wasn't the playful smile she always used. It was soft, genuine. My family loved you, especially Mr. Whiskers, and he hates everyone. The feeling is mutual. I loved being here. Christopher hesitated for a moment. Can I call you? Not in a strange way, but I would like to see you again, when you're not working. Emma lit up. Like a date? Only if you want to call it that. I want to call it that. Emma practically jumped. Yes, call me, or text me, or show up at the restaurant. Anything works. Christopher laughed at her excitement. I'll call tomorrow, is that okay? It is, I'll be waiting. Emma opened the door. Drive carefully, okay? And text me when you get home so I know you didn't freeze on the way. I will. Christopher started going down the steps but turned around. Emma? Yes? This was the best Christmas of my life. Emma's mouth fell open, clearly emotional. Oh my gosh, now you made me all sensitive. Go before I start crying again. Christopher waved and walked to the car, hearing Emma close the door behind him. When he got in and started the engine, he saw the living room curtain move. Emma was peeking, and when she saw he had noticed, she waved dramatically with both hands. Christopher waved back, laughing, and started driving. The way home felt different. The same streets, the same Christmas lights, but everything had a different glow, as if the world had become more colorful somehow. When he got to his apartment, he sent a message to Emma. I got home. I didn't freeze on the way. Thank you again for everything. The reply came in seconds. That's good. My mom was already worried. She said you're a good man and that I should marry you. Ignoring the embarrassing part, sleep well. Christopher laughed out loud in the empty apartment. Your mother is great. Sleep well too. I won't be able to sleep. I'll keep thinking about how you said this was the best Christmas of your life. That was very sweet. You're very sweet. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now before I say something more embarrassing. Good night. Christopher stared at the message, smiling like a fool. He, Christopher Blackwell, CEO of a tech company, was smiling at his phone like a teenager. And he didn't care at all. The next morning, Christopher woke up with a strange feeling. It took him a minute to understand what it was. Happiness. He was genuinely happy. He picked up his phone and saw 3 messages from Emma, all sent during the night. Okay, I can't sleep. My brain won't stop. Do you really want to see me again, or did you just say that to be polite? You don't need to answer that now. You're sleeping. Or I hope you're sleeping. It would be strange if you were awake reading my 3 a.m. rambling. Okay, now I'm really going to sleep. I promise I won't text again. Unless I do, good night again. Christopher replied, Good morning, and yes, I really want to see you again. It wasn't just being polite. When do you finish work today? The answer came almost instantly. You're awake, and I finish at 10. Why? Can I pick you up? We can get coffee or something. Coffee at 10 at night? Or ice cream, or Chinese food, anything. I just want to see you. There was a longer pause this time, and Christopher got nervous, thinking he had been too intense. But then the reply came. Okay, that was the sweetest thing anyone has ever said to me. Yes, come get me, but only if you promise you won't judge my tired face at the end of my shift. I promise. See you at 10. Can't wait. Now I'm going to work excited. My mom just read our messages over my shoulder and said I knew it really loud. Help. Christopher laughed, putting the phone aside. For the first time in years, he had plans. Plans that didn't involve work, meetings, or corporate obligations. Plans that involved a brown-haired waitress, a sense of humor with no filter, and a heart the size of the world. And Christopher couldn't be more excited. Christopher spent the entire day in the apartment, but unlike other days off, he couldn't focus on anything. He tried reading, but kept rereading the same page. Tried watching TV, but didn't pay attention. His mind was busy thinking about Emma. At 9:45 at night, he was already parked in front of Bella Notte, 15 minutes early. The restaurant still had a few customers, and through the window, Christopher could see Emma serving a table, smiling and gesturing excitedly while writing down the order. At exactly 10 o'clock, Emma came out the back door wearing a huge red coat and a backpack. When she saw Christopher's car, her face lit up. "You actually came." Emma opened the door and got in, bringing with her the smell of restaurant food and floral perfume. "I was afraid you had changed your mind." "Why would I? I don't know. People change their minds." Emma buckled her seatbelt. "Like the time a guy said he would pick me up after work and never showed up. I waited 40 minutes in the cold before I realized he had stood me up." "That's horrible." "It was. But look on the bright side. I learned it's not worth waiting more than half an hour for anyone." Emma turned to him. "But you came early. That gives you like 500 extra points." "I have a score?" Christopher asked, amused. "Everyone does. It's like a mental ranking I make." Emma took off her work shoes with a sigh of relief. "Oh, thank goodness. My feet are killing me. There was a wedding today in the restaurant hall, around 150 people. I must have walked 20 kilometers just going back and forth to the kitchen." "Do you want to go home and rest? We can do this another day." "No way." Emma interrupted him. "I spent the whole day thinking about this date. I don't care if my feet fall off, I want ice cream." Christopher laughed. "Ice cream at 10 at night in winter?" "Ice cream has no time or season," Emma declared solemnly. "It's like pizza, always appropriate." They went to an ice cream shop that was still open, a small and cozy place with colorful tables and a board on the wall showing all the available flavors. "Okay, you need to try the apple pie flavor," Emma said as she tasted the samples. "It's like eating pie but cold, and somehow that makes everything better." "You've tried 6 flavors already," Christopher pointed out, laughing, "and I'm going to try 3 more before deciding." Emma took another sample. "This is the best part, the free samples." The guy behind the counter was amused. "You come here every week and always try the same flavors," he said. "Because I need to make sure they're still good, Kevin," Emma argued. "It's quality control. I'm doing a public service." Christopher ended up ordering chocolate ice cream, and Emma ordered a mix of apple pie with salted caramel that sounded scientifically impossible to work, but according to her was the best combination ever invented by humanity. They sat at a table near the window, and Emma attacked the ice cream like she hadn't eaten in days. "So, how was your day?" Emma asked between spoonfuls. "Boring. I spent the entire day waiting to be able to see you." Emma stopped eating and looked at him. "Okay, you cannot keep saying things like that. My heart can't handle it." "Sorry," Christopher said, but he didn't sound sorry. "No, don't apologize. Keep going. It's just that I'm not used to someone being so direct and sweet at the same time." Emma covered her face with her hands for a second, then went back to eating. "Okay, my turn. My day was chaotic. There was a table that asked for the wedding cake cut into exactly equal slices, and I'm like, how does someone do that? I tried, but some slices were bigger than others, and the bride almost had a meltdown." "Really?" "I swear, she stood there measuring the slices with a ruler." "A ruler?" Emma gestured dramatically. "Who brings a ruler to their own wedding?" "Someone very organized." "Someone very crazy," Emma corrected. But in the end, everything worked out. Everyone ate cake and nobody complained. Except the groom's uncle, who said the salmon was dry, but he complained about literally everything the whole night, so it doesn't count. Christopher was laughing so hard he had to put his spoon down. "How do you manage to turn everything into a funny story?" "It's a gift," Emma shrugged. "My mom says I was born talking, and I haven't stopped since. In school, the teachers always sent me to the principal's office for talking too much during class. I can imagine you being a very energetic child." "Energetic is a polite way of saying hyperactive." Emma laughed. "I was terrible. One time I decided I wanted to be a magician, so I tried to make my sister disappear by locking her in the closet. It didn't work very well." "I imagine not. She screamed for 15 minutes until my mom found out. I was banned from watching magic shows for a month." Emma shook her head. "But it was worth it. For about 5 minutes, I really thought I had magic powers." "You're amazing," Christopher said, and this time he wasn't laughing. He was serious, looking at her with an expression Emma couldn't figure out. "Stop it." Emma threw a napkin at him. "You're gonna make me all mushy." "Sorry, but it's true." They kept talking for more than an hour until Kevin said he was closing the ice cream shop. "Wow, already?" Emma checked her phone. 11:30. Time flew by. In the car, Christopher drove Emma home. When they stopped in front of her house, neither of them moved to get out right away. "Thanks for the ice cream," Emma said. "And for the company. I had a great time." "Me too. Can we do it again?" "Of course. Anytime you want." Emma started to open the door but hesitated. "Christopher?" "Yes? Why do you like me? I mean, you're this super successful executive. You probably make more in a day than I make in a month, and I'm just a waitress who talks too much and makes bad jokes." Christopher became serious. "First, you're not just anything. You're amazing. Second, I like you because you're genuine. You don't try to be someone else. You don't try to impress me with things that aren't real. You are yourself, without a filter, and that's refreshing. And third, your jokes aren't bad. They are." Emma laughed, but she was clearly emotional. "Okay, some are," Christopher admitted, "but I like them anyway. I like you." Emma stayed quiet for a moment, just looking at him. Then, impulsively, she leaned in and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. "There, now I can go without spending the whole night wondering if I should have done that or not." Emma got out of the car quickly, bright red. "Good night, Christopher. Call me tomorrow." And before he could answer, Emma was already running inside, leaving Christopher in the car with his hand on his cheek and a silly smile on his face. He waited until he saw the living room light turn on, and then saw the curtain move. Emma was peeking again, and when she noticed he was still there, she made an exaggerated gesture telling him to go home. Christopher waved, laughing, and drove away. On the way back, his phone chimed with a message. "Okay, I officially won't be able to sleep again. Why do you have to say things like that? It's not fair." "Good night again," Christopher replied. "I'm not perfect, but with you, I want to be." The answer came instantly. "Stop saying beautiful things. My mom just walked into my room asking why I'm screaming. Now she wants to know everything. Help." Christopher laughed to himself in the car, happier than he had been in years. And the best part? He knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, Christopher woke up to his phone ringing. It was Emma, calling on video. "Good morning." Emma appeared on the screen wearing penguin pajamas and with her hair completely messy. "Sorry for calling early, but I had an idea." "What time is it?" Christopher asked, still half asleep. 9 in the morning. That's not early," Emma argued. "Anyway, I'm off today and I thought, why don't we do something fun, like ice skating? Have you ever been ice skating?" "No." "Perfect. Then you're going today." Emma was clearly excited. "There's a rink downtown that stays open until New Year's. Let's go, please. It'll be hilarious, I promise." Christopher couldn't say no to that enthusiasm. "All right. What time?" 2 in the afternoon. "I'll send the address. Bye." And she hung up before he could answer. Christopher looked at the phone, shaking his head with a smile. Emma had an energy that was impossible to resist. At exactly 2 o'clock, Christopher arrived at the ice skating rink. The place was full of families, couples, and children sliding across the ice. Emma was already there wearing a bright pink coat that was impossible to miss, waving dramatically. "You came. I thought you'd give up once you realized ice skating is basically preparing to fall flat on your face several times." Emma pulled him toward the skate rental line. "You're great at sales," Christopher said ironically. "I know. I should work in marketing." Emma grabbed her skates. "Okay, important warning. I'm terrible at skating, like extremely terrible, but it's fun anyway." "That doesn't make me feel confident." "It shouldn't." Emma sat on the bench and started putting on her skates. "But look at the bright side, we're going to fall together. It's like forming a disaster team." When they finally stepped onto the ice, Christopher immediately understood her warning. His ankles felt like they were made of jelly, and he could barely stand. "Look at me," Emma shouted, sliding about 3 feet before waving her arms desperately. I'm going! No, I'm not, I'm falling!" And she did, landing on the ice with a thump. Christopher tried to reach her and almost fell too, grabbing the side of the rink. "Are you okay?" he asked, worried. "I'm great, my backside isn't." Emma laughed, taking his hand to get up. "Okay, new strategy. We hold on to each other and hope we don't fall at the same time." They spent the next hour trying to skate, falling repeatedly, laughing so hard their stomachs hurt. Emma fell at least 8 times, and Christopher wasn't far behind with 6. "This is harder than it looks," Christopher complained, holding the rail after another fall. "I told you." Emma slid toward him but lost her balance and bumped into him, making both of them fall again. Oops. Sorry. They stayed sitting on the ice, laughing, while other skaters skillfully avoided them. We're pathetic, Emma laughed. There are 5-year-olds skating better than us. That one over there is about 3 and already did 5 laps, Christopher pointed at a tiny girl gliding easily. This is humiliating. Emma tried to stand again and slipped. Okay, the ice doesn't like me. It's official. An employee skated over smoothly. Do you two need help? We need a miracle, Emma replied. Or maybe just solid ground under our feet. The young man laughed and helped them both up. First time? Is it that obvious? Christopher asked. A little, the employee admitted. But you're having fun, and that's what matters. After another 30 minutes of trying, Emma and Christopher finally managed to skate 1 full lap without falling, holding each other's hands to stay balanced. Look, we did it, Emma celebrated. We're officially mediocre skaters. Mediocre is generous, Christopher laughed. When they left the rink, both were wet, cold, and sore in several places, but completely happy. That was ridiculous, Christopher said as they returned the skates. It was, but admit it, it was fun. Emma nudged his arm. It was, Christopher agreed, smiling. Totally worth the 1,000 falls. It was only 8 falls for me, Emma corrected. You're the one who fell 1,000 times. It was 6. Details. Emma grabbed her backpack. Now let's get hot chocolate because I'm freezing. They went to a nearby cafe and sat by the fireplace. Emma ordered hot chocolate with extra marshmallows and whipped cream, while Christopher ordered coffee. Coffee? How boring. Emma made a face. You just fell on the ice 17 times. You deserve something more festive. Now it's 17 falls? I round up for dramatic purposes. Emma took a sip of the hot chocolate and ended up with a whipped cream mustache. But seriously, today was so much fun, even though I turned my backside into one big bruise. Christopher laughed, wiping the whipped cream from her face with a napkin. I thought it was fun too. I don't remember the last time I laughed this much. Really? Emma looked surprised. But you're so successful. I thought you spent your days laughing all the time. Success doesn't mean automatic happiness, Christopher said. I spent the last few years focused only on work. I forgot what it felt like to have real fun. Emma became serious for a moment. Well, then I'm going to have to teach you. And just so you know, my lessons include falling on ice, eating ice cream in winter, and making questionable decisions that turn into funny stories. Can't wait, Christopher said. And this time, he wasn't being ironic. They stayed at the cafe until it got dark, talking about everything and nothing. Emma shared more absurd childhood stories, and Christopher brought up some old college memories he had forgotten existed. You used to be way cooler, Emma observed. What happened? Adult responsibilities, I guess. That's overrated, Emma declared. You urgently need more fun and less responsibility. You can be my fun consultant, Christopher suggested. I accept the job. My first official advice is, stop taking yourself so seriously, Emma pointed at him. Second advice, always order dessert. Third, learn how to ice skate because today was embarrassing. Christopher laughed so hard he had to put his cup down, and as he looked at Emma with her bright eyes and wide smile, he realized something important. He was falling in love. 3 days passed, and Christopher and Emma had seen each other every single day. Dinners, walks, even a trip to the movies where Emma laughed so loudly people asked her to be quiet. They texted late into the night, talking about everything and nothing. On the morning of December 30th, Christopher woke up to a call from his secretary. Christopher, we need to talk about the January meeting, Amanda said on the phone. Amanda, the company is on break. Can it wait until the new year? Of course, but there's something else. Your brother called. He wants to know if you're showing up to your parents' New Year's Eve party in Miami. Christopher had completely forgotten. Every year his family threw a huge New Year's Eve party, and every year he found an excuse not to go. I'm not sure if I'll go. Christopher, you haven't been to a family party in 3 years. Your mother will be upset. She was right. Christopher hung up and thought for a moment. Then he had an idea. A possibly crazy idea, but one that made perfect sense in his head. He called Emma. Hi, good morning. Emma answered cheerfully. I'm making pancakes and burned 2, but the third one is perfect. Emma, can I ask you a crazy question? You just called the right person for crazy questions. Go ahead. Do you want to go to Miami with me tomorrow? There was silence on the other end. Emma, are you still there? I'm here. Just processing. Emma spoke quickly. Miami? Like Miami in Florida? Tomorrow? Yes. My family has a New Year's Eve party every year, and I thought, maybe you'd want to go with me? We'll be back on the 2nd. I'll pay for everything, of course. Christopher, this is crazy. We've known each other for less than a week. I know. It was a dumb idea, sorry. I accept. Emma shouted. Oh my gosh, I'm going to Miami. I've never been to Miami. My mom is going to freak out. Wait, let me ask if she can watch the cats. Mom. Christopher heard muffled shouting in the background, then Emma returned. My mom said yes, that you're a good man, and that if you don't propose by next year, she'll be disappointed. Ignoring that last part, I'm going. Christopher laughed, relieved. Great, our flight leaves tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Tomorrow, Christopher? I don't have clothes for Miami. I don't have clothes to meet your family. I don't have clothes for anything. Emma was clearly starting to panic. We'll buy some there. Relax. Relax? You're introducing me to your whole family and you want me to relax? Emma took a deep breath. Okay, I can do this. I will do this. Oh my gosh, I'm meeting your family. The next day, Christopher picked up Emma at 8 in the morning. She stood at the door with a small suitcase and a huge backpack, wearing an oversized winter coat. You know it's hot in Miami, right? Christopher pointed at the coat. I know, but it's cold here. Emma got in the car. My mom made me promise to send pictures of everything, and Lily made me promise to bring her a fridge magnet. Apparently she collects magnets now. At the airport, Emma was visibly nervous. She had never flown before. You've never flown? Christopher asked, surprised. Never. My family always traveled by car. Emma looked at the planes through the window. They're big, right? Like really big. How does something that big fly? Physics, Christopher answered. That doesn't help. Emma grabbed his arm as they boarded the plane. Okay, this is smaller inside than I expected. During takeoff, Emma squeezed Christopher's hand so tightly he thought she might break his fingers. Is this normal? She asked when the plane started rising. Is that noise normal? It's normal, Emma. Relax. How can I relax? We're flying. Like, literally flying in the air. Emma looked out the window and immediately shut her eyes. No, I'm not looking. Too high. Once the plane leveled off, Emma finally relaxed a little, and then she started talking. A lot. Okay, tell me about your family. How many people will be there? Are they nice? Are they going to think I'm strange? Because I'm a little strange, I won't lie. What should I say? What should I not say? Is there any forbidden topic? Christopher laughed. Breathe, Emma. My family will love you. How do you know? Because I really like you, Christopher corrected himself quickly, feeling his face warm. Emma stared at him. You almost said love. No, I said like. You were going to say love, I heard it. Emma was laughing now. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure. We've known each other for a week. I know, sorry, it slipped out. Don't be sorry. Emma grabbed his hand. Because I'm starting to feel that too. Like it's very fast and a little scary, but it's real, you know? Christopher looked at her, and in that moment, in the middle of a plane full of strangers, 10,000 meters in the air, he was absolutely sure of one thing. He loved Emma. But he decided not to say it out loud yet. He didn't want to scare her more than she already was. When they arrived in Miami, the heat hit them like a wall. Wow! Emma took off her coat immediately. This is like a giant oven. How do people live here? You get used to it. Christopher picked up the bags. The car he had rented was waiting for them in the parking lot. As they drove toward Christopher's parents' house, Emma looked out the window like an excited child. Look at the palm trees and the ocean, Christopher. You can see the ocean from here. Emma was practically bouncing in her seat. This is amazing. Why do you live in Chicago when you could live here? Because Chicago has you, he answered without thinking. Emma turned red. You can't keep saying things like that. My heart can't handle it. Christopher's parents' house was huge, a mansion by the sea with perfect gardens. Emma got out of the car and stood there speechless. This is a house? This is like a hotel. Emma looked around. Christopher, your family is rich. Like really rich. I told you I had a company. You didn't say your family lived in a palace. Emma straightened her clothes nervously. Okay, now I'm officially panicking. What if they don't like me? What if they think I'm just an opportunistic waitress? Christopher held her face gently with both hands. Listen, you are amazing. You are funny, kind, genuine, and anyone who doesn't see that is crazy. And if my family doesn't like you, that's their problem, not yours. Emma took a deep breath. Okay, I can do this. Yes, you can. They started walking toward the door, but before they could ring the bell, the door opened. An elegant woman in her 60s appeared, with perfectly styled blonde hair and a spotless white dress. She looked at Christopher and then at Emma. Christopher, you brought someone. His mother smiled warmly. Come in, come in. You must be Emma. Christopher called me and told me about you. Emma looked at Christopher, surprised. He had called his mother? It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Blackwell. Emma extended her hand. Christopher's mother ignored the hand and pulled her into a hug. Call me Patricia, and welcome to the family, dear. Anyone who managed to make my son smile again is a walking miracle. Emma laughed, relaxing a little. Maybe this wouldn't be a total disaster after all. But then, from inside the house, a male voice shouted, Christopher brought a girlfriend? I need to see this. And Emma realized the adventure was just beginning. A man around 38 appeared at the door, tall, similar to Christopher but with darker hair and a mischievous smile. I don't believe it. My little brother finally brought someone. He extended his hand to Emma. I'm Daniel, the older and clearly more handsome brother. Nice to meet you. Emma shook his hand, laughing. I'm Emma, the surprise girlfriend. Girlfriend? Christopher and Emma said at the same time. She excited, he surprised. Well, you brought me to meet your family, Emma whispered to him. That kind of qualifies you as a boyfriend, right? Christopher smiled. Yeah, I guess it does. Oh, how sweet. They're sweet. Patricia clapped her hands. Come in, come in. You must be tired from the trip. The house was even more impressive inside. High ceilings, elegant decor, and an ocean view through huge windows. Emma tried not to stare with her mouth open, but it was hard. Wow, she whispered to Christopher. Your childhood home is like 5 times bigger than my entire house. A 16-year-old girl ran down the stairs. Uncle Christopher brought a girlfriend? Let me see. This is Sophie, Daniel's daughter, Christopher introduced. Sophie, this is Emma. Hi, you're way nicer than that Madison grandma keeps talking about, Sophie said without filter. Like way nicer. Sophie, Patricia scolded, but she was laughing. Thank you? Emma didn't know whether to be happy or confused. I think. Come on, I'll show you your room. Patricia took Emma's arm. Christopher, your father is in the office. Daniel, help your brother with the bags. Emma was practically dragged up the stairs by Patricia, who talked non-stop. You have no idea how happy I was when Christopher called saying he was bringing someone. He never brings anyone. I thought he was going to die alone with his computers. Patricia opened the door to a huge bedroom. I hope you like it. It has an ocean view. This is amazing, Emma said sincerely, looking out the window. So, tell me everything. How did you two meet? Patricia sat on the bed, clearly excited. Emma told the whole story, from the disastrous date at the restaurant to the invitation for Christmas at her house. Patricia listened with bright eyes. Oh, how romantic. You saved my son from sadness on Christmas Eve. Patricia wiped a tear. Emma, dear, I already like you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Patricia, Emma corrected quickly. Now rest a little. The party starts at 7 and there will be a lot of people. The Blackwell family loves a big celebration. Patricia stood up. Oh, and Emma? Don't be nervous. Everyone here will love you as much as I already do. After Patricia left, Emma flopped onto the huge bed and texted Carol. Mom, their house is like a palace. I'm panicking. Help. The reply came fast. Breathe, dear. You are wonderful. They will love you. Now send me a picture of this palace house. Emma took several photos and sent them. Then someone knocked on the door. Come in. Christopher walked in, smiling. Did my mother kidnap you? Kind of, but she's great. Emma sat up. Christopher, your family is really rich. Why didn't you tell me? Because it doesn't matter, he sat beside her. You're not here because of the money. You're here because of me. Still, I could have prepared myself mentally, Emma gestured. My family lives in a 2-bedroom house where Mr. Whiskers is basically the owner. Your family lives in a 5-star resort. Christopher took her hand. Emma, relax. They already love you, especially my mom. She's very sweet, Emma admitted, and your brother seems nice, and Sophie is hilarious. See? Everything's fine. Christopher kissed her forehead. Now rest a little. Soon a bunch of relatives will arrive, and you'll need energy." At 7 in the evening, the house was already full. Cousins, uncles, family friends, all dressed elegantly. Emma had put on the only dress she brought, a simple red one, and felt completely out of place among so much elegance. "Breathe," Christopher whispered in her ear. "You look beautiful." "I look like a kid who dressed herself next to these women all wearing designer." Emma whispered back. "You look like you, and that's perfect." A woman in her 70s approached, with perfectly styled white hair. "So this is the famous Emma." She had a refined accent. "I'm Christopher's grandmother, Helen. Tell me everything about you, dear." Emma spent the next hour being introduced to what felt like 1,000 different people. Everyone asked questions, and Emma answered with her usual honesty, making several people laugh with her stories. "And then I locked my sister in the closet, thinking she would disappear," Emma told a group of aunts. "It didn't work, obviously, but for 5 minutes I really thought I had magic powers." The aunts laughed so hard they had to hold their glasses. "She's hilarious," one of them told Christopher. "Where were you hiding her all this time?" At 11 at night, everyone gathered in the yard to wait for midnight. Christopher and Emma were near the pool, a little away from the crowd. "Are you having fun?" Christopher asked. "You know what? I am. Your family is crazy, but the good kind," Emma smiled. "Like mine, only with more money and fewer cats." Christopher laughed. "Emma, I need to tell you something." "Okay, now you're scaring me. Is it serious?" "It is." Christopher took a deep breath. "I know we haven't known each other for long, less than 2 weeks, actually, but I'm sure of one thing." "Of what?" Emma was nervous now. "I love you." Emma went silent, staring at him with wide eyes. "You don't have to say it back," Christopher continued quickly. "I just needed you to know. I love you, Emma. Your laugh, your no-filter way of talking, how you make everything feel lighter. I love you." Emma was still silent, and Christopher started to worry. "Emma, are you okay?" "I love you too," she finally said, her voice trembling. "I've been in love with you since that night at the restaurant. I just didn't want to admit it because it felt crazy. But it's true. I love you, Christopher Blackwell." Christopher smiled, pulled her close, and kissed her. It was a gentle, sweet kiss full of promises. When they pulled away, they heard the countdown beginning. 10, 9, 8. "Happy New Year," Christopher whispered. "Happy New Year," Emma replied, smiling. 3, 2, 1. "Happy New Year." Fireworks exploded in the sky, coloring everything in gold and silver. And there, in the garden of a mansion in Miami, surrounded by a loud and loving family, Christopher and Emma started the new year in each other's arms. It was the perfect beginning to something both of them knew would last. The next morning, Emma woke up with the sun coming through the window and the sound of waves on the beach. For a second, she forgot where she was. Then everything came back. The trip, the party, the declaration of love. Christopher loved her. And she loved him. Emma smiled to herself in the room, hugging the pillow. Her phone buzzed with messages from Carol and Lily. "Tell us everything. How was the party? Is his family nice? Are you already engaged?" Emma laughed and answered quickly, telling them about the night but leaving out the declaration because she wanted to keep that just for herself for now. She went downstairs for breakfast and found the whole family gathered on the porch overlooking the ocean. Patricia was serving pancakes, Daniel was reading the paper, Sophie was on her phone, and Christopher was talking to his father, a man in his mid-60s with gray hair. "Good morning," Emma said shyly. "Emma, good morning, dear." Patricia pulled her into a hug. "Did you sleep well? Do you want pancakes, coffee, juice?" "Everything looks great." Emma sat beside Christopher, who held her hand discreetly under the table. Christopher's father, William, greeted her with a warm smile. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Emma. Christopher spoke very highly of you yesterday." "He did?" Emma looked at Christopher, who turned red. "You can be sure. He wouldn't stop talking," Daniel teased. It was like Emma this, Emma that. Very cute and very embarrassing at the same time. "Shut up, Daniel," Christopher muttered, making everyone laugh. After breakfast, Patricia announced, "Today we're all going to the beach. It's our January 1st tradition." "I didn't bring a swimsuit," Emma said, worried. "No problem, we're going shopping first." Patricia clapped her hands. "I love shopping." An hour later, Emma was in a very expensive clothing store with Patricia and Sophie completely lost. "This one." Sophie held up a pink bikini. It'll look beautiful on you. Sophie, this costs $200. Emma looked at the tag, shocked. For 2 pieces of fabric. Nonsense, Christopher can pay. Patricia picked up 3 more bikinis. Try all these. I can't let him pay. Of course you can. He has plenty of money and no girlfriend to spend it on. Patricia pushed her toward the fitting room. Go, try them on. Half an hour and 5 bikinis later, Emma left the store with bags that cost more than her monthly salary. When Christopher saw them, he just smiled. Did my mother go overboard? He asked. Like, a lot, Emma whispered, but she's so excited I couldn't say no. At the beach, the Blackwell family took over a huge area with umbrellas, chairs, and even a table with drinks. Emma put on the pink bikini Sophie had chosen and came out of the changing room, embarrassed. Christopher saw her and was speechless for a second. Stop looking at me like that. Emma covered her face. I'm embarrassed. You look beautiful, he said sincerely. Your brother is looking. Your niece is looking. Your mother is taking pictures. Emma pointed at Patricia, who really was taking photos. It's for memories, Patricia shouted. You two are adorable. Emma and Christopher spent the whole afternoon at the beach. They swam, built sandcastles with Sophie, and Emma even tried surfing but fell off the board 7 times. This is harder than ice skating, Emma complained, soaked. Everything you teach me involves me falling. You're the one who chose to try surfing, Christopher laughed, helping her out of the water, because it seemed like a good idea at the time. At the end of the afternoon, Christopher and Emma walked along the beach alone, holding hands. Thank you for bringing me here, Emma said. Your family is amazing. They loved you. My mom is already planning the wedding. Really? Emma stopped walking. She told me last night that you're perfect and that if I don't propose, she'll do it for me. Christopher laughed. My mom is a little intense. Emma stayed quiet for a moment. And you? Have you thought about marriage? Christopher looked at her seriously. Yes, I know it's early, but yes, I have. Me too, Emma admitted, blushing. I mean, we've known each other for 2 weeks and I'm already imagining what it would be like to marry you. That's crazy, right? It is, Christopher agreed, but it's the best kind of crazy I've ever lived. They kept walking in comfortable silence, just enjoying the moment. The next day, it was time to head back to Chicago. Patricia cried at the airport. You have to come back. Promise you'll come back. She hugged Emma tightly. I promise. Emma was emotional too. And Christopher, you take care of her, you hear me? Patricia pointed at her son. I will, Mom. On the flight back, Emma was much calmer than she had been on the way there. She and Christopher sat side by side, and she spent most of the flight sleeping on his shoulder. When they landed in Chicago, it was already nighttime. The cold hit them as soon as they stepped outside the airport, a huge difference from Miami's heat. Welcome back to freezing reality, Christopher said as they walked to the car. I missed this cold, Emma lied, shivering. Christopher drove her home, and when they stopped in front of her house, neither of them wanted to say goodbye. Will I see you tomorrow? Christopher asked. Sure. I go back to work tomorrow night. Emma hesitated. Christopher, yes? These last few days were the best of my life. Thank you for everything. Thank you for accepting my crazy invitation, for meeting my family, for simply being you. Emma leaned in and kissed him softly. I love you. I love you too. She got out of the car and went inside, where she was immediately attacked by Carol and Lily wanting every detail. The house was amazing. His family is great. He told me he loves me. And I told him I love him too. Emma said everything at once, excited. I knew it, Carol shouted. I told you he was the right guy. Are you going to marry him? Lily asked, thrilled. Lily, we've known each other for 2 weeks. So what? When you know, Carol insisted. Emma laughed, picking up Mr. Whiskers. Maybe you're right. Maybe when you know, you really do know. And at that moment, hugging her cat in the living room of the small house she shared with her mother and sister, Emma was absolutely sure. Christopher Blackwell was the man she was going to spend the rest of her life with. Now she just had to wait and see when he would realize the same thing. 6 months later, Emma was finishing her shift at Bella Knot when Christopher walked into the restaurant. She smiled automatically, the way she always did when she saw him. You're early, Emma said while cleaning a table. I still have half an hour. I know, I just wanted to see you working. Christopher sat at one of the tables. "You look beautiful, even running around everywhere." "Stop it!" Emma threw a dish towel at him. "You can't be saying sweet things while I'm working." Over the last 6 months, Emma's life had changed completely. She and Christopher were officially together, and each day was better than the last. They had dinner together at least 4 times a week, spent every weekend together, and Emma had even left a toothbrush at his apartment. Carol adored Christopher and always invited him for dinner. Lily considered him the best brother-in-law in the world, even though they weren't married yet. And Mr. Whiskers had finally accepted Christopher, which for Emma was the greatest approval of all. "Done. I'm finished." Emma removed her apron. "We can go." "Actually," Christopher stood up, "I have a surprise for you." "What kind of surprise?" Emma narrowed her eyes suspiciously. "The last time you said that, you took me to that pottery class where I broke 3 vases. It's not my fault you're a walking disaster." Christopher laughed. "But this surprise is different. Do you trust me?" "Always." Christopher drove her, but didn't say where they were going. When they stopped, Emma recognized the place immediately. "The restaurant. This is where we met." Emma looked around. "Why did we come back here?" "You'll see." They walked inside, and Emma noticed the restaurant was empty except for one table in the center, decorated with candles and flowers. "Christopher, what did you do?" Emma asked, confused. "I rented the restaurant for an hour." Christopher guided her to the table. 6 months ago, I came here thinking my love life was a disaster. I had just been stood up for the 7th time and was ready to give up on dating forever. "I remember," Emma said softly. "And then a crazy waitress with Christmas bell earrings showed up and changed everything." Christopher took her hands. "You made me laugh when all I wanted was to cry. You invited me to spend Christmas with your family when I was going to be alone. You taught me that success means nothing if you don't have someone to share it with." Christopher, Emma was starting to realize what was happening, and her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. "Emma, these last 6 months have been the best of my life. Every morning I wake up happy because I know I'll see you. Every night I go to sleep smiling because I spent the day with you. You're funny, kind, genuine, and you make me want to be a better person." Christopher let go of her hands and got down on one knee. Emma covered her mouth with both hands, tears already running down her face. "Emma, I love you more than I ever thought it was possible to love someone, and I don't want to spend another day without knowing we'll spend the rest of our lives together." Christopher took a small box from his pocket and opened it, revealing a beautiful ring. "Will you marry me?" "Yes," Emma shouted before he even finished the sentence. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." Christopher slid the ring onto her finger and stood up, pulling her into a tight hug. Emma was crying and laughing at the same time. "I love you so much," she said between happy sobs. "So much it's ridiculous." "I love you too." Christopher kissed her, and this time it was a kiss full of promises, of a future, of happiness, of forever. When they pulled apart, Emma looked at the ring on her finger, still in shock. "I'm getting married. I'm getting married to you." Emma jumped excitedly. "Oh my gosh, we have to tell everyone. My mom is going to freak out. Your mom is going to freak out. Everyone is going to freak out." Christopher laughed at her excitement. "You can call them right now if you want." "Can I?" Emma was already grabbing her phone. She called Carol on video. "Hi, sweetheart. How was work?" Carol appeared on the screen. "Mom," he asked. Emma held up her hand with the ring. "We're getting married." The scream Carol let out was so loud that Christopher heard it even without being near the phone. "I knew it. I always knew it." Carol was crying and laughing. Lily, come here. Your sister is getting married." Lily appeared on the screen. "Seriously, I won the bet. I said it would happen before summer." "You bet on my wedding?" Emma was laughing so hard she almost dropped the phone. "Of course. I made the bet with Sophie." Lily stuck out her tongue. "Now she owes me $50. After they hung up, Emma called Patricia, who had an even more dramatic reaction, crying and saying she was already going to start planning the wedding. "I think I created a monster," Christopher murmured when Emma finally put her phone away. "You did, but it's your monster now." Emma hugged him. "For the rest of your life." "For the rest of my life," Christopher repeated, and he had never been happier to say those words. 6 months later, on a sunny summer afternoon, Emma walked down an aisle lined with flowers, wearing a simple but beautiful white dress. Carol cried in the front row. Lily was the maid of honor, and Mr. Whiskers had been officially declared the ceremony's cat of honor. When Emma reached the altar and saw Christopher waiting for her with that smile she had come to love, she knew everything had been worth it. Every disastrous date he had been on, every exhausting shift she had worked, everything had led to this moment. "Hi," she whispered as she reached him. "Hi," Christopher replied, taking her hands, and there, surrounded by family and friends, they promised each other eternal love. The waitress with Christmas bell earrings and the workaholic CEO who had been stood up on Christmas Eve. Two complete opposites who fit together perfectly, and they lived happily ever after. What did you think of Emma and Christopher's story? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow all our stories and enjoy more emotional stories by clicking here on the end screen.